The Enlightened Ones, what they are and aren't. There are quite a few people claiming something called enlightenment. Yet there are many myths, lies, and misunderstandings surrounding this matter. For me to speak precisely about what enlightenment is or who is really enlightened is absurd. It isn't possible with any real accuracy. What is possible, however, is to try to clear up some of what isn't enlightenment or the result of enlightenment. Also, it might be useful to point to some of the signs of the presence or absence of this consciousness and to point out that there is a difference between the person and their enlightenment. Again, as I've said, enlightenment is becoming directly conscious of the true nature of existence, or any facet of existence. Direct consciousness means there is no method or perceptive faculty used. There is no separation between your consciousness and the truth. That's what makes it direct. This is not a function of the mind or any faculty of the mind, such as cognition, feeling, intellect, intuition, conclusion, etc. Yet, to the mind, it is seen as the best experience to have, even though the consciousness itself is not an experience. As I've pointed out, the mind will be affected by this consciousness, and so in that moment a new experience will arise, which is often confused with the enlightenment. I know it sounds like grasping the nature of existence would be a perceptive experience that you become aware of, but it's not. That's why such direct consciousness is impossible to understand unless it occurs for you personally. And this fact opens the floodgates for misunderstanding and misleading mischief from others claiming such consciousness. When trying to sort these things out, it is useful to separate the person from the enlightenment they claim. One myth about enlightenment is that a person will be immediately transformed by it, and always in the same way. This might sound reasonable because the truth has to be the truth and can't be different for different people. The problem is that what's also true is the mind and self-makeup that existed before the Enlightenment are left more or less intact after it. And these minds and selves are all different. Some substantial changes will occur, but complete freedom from mind and self while remaining a personal life is unlikely in the extreme. Although the consciousness itself is free from the self-mind, this self and mind will still remain active. This self-mind is a human attribute created as a way to persist and to manage life. And as social creatures, this especially applies to managing a personal social life. Our lives occur through the activities generated by self and mind. The self-mind involves making distinctions, ordering reality, and identifying with a locus and an individual. Although it's possible for this to change radically and can be very different from person to person, it will tend to follow the basic patterns that have been created throughout one's life and will also follow cultural foundations because this is the world in which our lives take place. Still, the freedom supplied by direct consciousness creates the possibility to transcend all this by seeing it for what it is. And yet most people who've had one or even a few enlightenment breakthroughs do not transcend life or self. Though, given the enlightenment is true, they will recognize that all forms of these activities are themselves not existentially true. Such consciousness, however, doesn't mean the person is freed from a self-identity, and so they will tend to act out life generally as they would have previously, based on their built-up personality. Just bring to mind people who claim enlightenment or who you think are enlightened, and notice that each is very different from the others, and each has a unique personality, and this personality, other than some changes in perspective and perhaps temperament, is undoubtedly generally like it was before they had any awakening. After enlightenment, the trajectory of their lives can take very different paths, from great contributions to humanity to solitude or just waiting for life to end, depending on the person and their mental state and intentions. No matter what path they choose, however, they must still act out life until they die. I didn't come here on my own accord, and I can't leave that way. Rumi. Let's look at some examples of people who may or may not have had some degree of enlightenment. William Shakespeare demonstrates through his ingenious plays a possible consciousness freed of cultural assumptions and an understanding of how the human mind works, as well as many insights regarding life. He may have simply been a genius in his field, but it is possible that he also directly grasped the nature of mind and life, and so had a capacity to relate to them in ways most people don't. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. William Shakespeare. I've mentioned elsewhere that I think there are indications Leonardo da Vinci likely had some enlightenment, simply because of his capacity to create outside the norm in so many areas, and his ability to think in uncommon ways freed of the fetters of norms and assumptions. Among the great things which are to be found among us, the being of nothingness is the greatest. Leonardo da Vinci. A direct consciousness can make great contributions more accessible to creative and committed minds of particular people, such as those mentioned above. Yet the real point here is that a drunken bum on the street may also have had an enlightenment experience. This flies in the face of the fantasies and myths surrounding such breakthroughs. That's why I mention it. There is nothing inherent in having a direct consciousness or two that prevents the overwhelming drives and attachments a person might have from drawing them into what we might see as a wasted and degraded form of life. I doubt it is the norm, but I suspect it has happened. The thing to get is that enlightenment doesn't guarantee the way life will unfold for someone. It does tend to move it in a certain direction because of the nature of such consciousness. The trend is toward honesty, freedom, and compassion, with tendencies toward transcending binding human assumptions and conditions. But this is not guaranteed and really depends on the degree and depth of the consciousness, as well as the character and agenda of the individual. Trying to understand the effects of enlightenment using those that claim enlightenment may not be the best measuring stick, since their claim may or may not be genuine. Even if they have had a direct consciousness of some kind, the depth of this is up for grabs, and what they do with it can be either empowering, misleading, or just self-serving. What a person does, how they do it, depends on the person, their mind, assumptions, past, culture, intent, and their purpose for doing it. It is actually likely that most people who preach about enlightenment will have a hidden agenda in operation that has nothing whatever to do with the consciousness they may have had. For example, I was asked to watch a woman with a large following who claims to be enlightened. I watched, and although she had a good presence and emanated certainty, in my view, what she was doing was totally self-serving. She was not really facilitating or empowering her followers. Instead, she was laying down the law that she had worked out and pushing a cosmology that she invented as if it were true. Her work with people didn't really support them to grow or become conscious for themselves, but instead she pressed them to get that they were wrong. She seemed to always have to be right and be seen as better than others, even though this was all couched in a spiritual presentation. So she didn't really have students, but followers who simply believed in her proclamations. This kind of disposition is not rare. It is actually frequently the case. I have personal knowledge of teachers mixing invented cosmologies or adopted belief systems with what should be a genuine and pure contemplation or investigation. This confuses people because it becomes unclear what is an honest pursuit of the truth and what are simply claims being made or beliefs held. Imagine how much damage might be done in many ways on various levels by those in positions of leadership that push personal beliefs and agendas rather than keeping fidelity to the truth. Other examples might include people who've become famous because of entertainment show exposure or have accessed other social means to get noticed. Regardless of the depth of their consciousness, the fame and authority that accompany their communications undoubtedly provide them with a much higher status and platform in the eyes of others than is real or deserved. Again, such tendencies are not unusual, they are the norm. Any enlightenment experience is inevitably not complete, and one's head can easily be turned by the adoration of fans and followers. What is more enticing than the admiration of others? Not much. And people with some degree of enlightenment aren't immune to this draw. These elements should be taken into account. When listening to such people, it is important to be clear about what their communication is actually doing and not just get lost or distracted by interesting sounding rhetoric. In the end, is the communication empowering or not? Does it just entertain and resonate with your beliefs, or does it push you towards self discovery and the truth? Most people open to such communications have a hard time discerning the real from the false, or recognizing the difference between liking it and whether it is truly empowering or not. Yet, paying attention and asking these kinds of questions goes a long way toward recognizing what's there. Of course, there are just straight out charlatans, but the point is, even such partial consciousness doesn't demand people be truly honest about their communications, nor does it mean that what any individual comes up with or invents is true. People mix personal and cultural assumptions and inventions into their assertions all the time. It's very hard to stay clear of such influences, and people who have not had such breakthroughs will have a hard time knowing what is true and what is just tagging along for the ride because of the beliefs and mind of the person speaking. Remember, there is a big difference between the person and whatever consciousness they may have. Those are not the same and shouldn't be conflated.